afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. This is the Cool JDM Show, and I am the coolest host, Derek Weldon.
I want to be the second coolest host, and I'm Mike.
Sorry, Max.
Aw. And before.
Okay, so Derek, Mike, and Max, we are in Japan, and that's why I said that it might be good morning and good night for you. I guess for most of our viewers, it's later.
It is late,
but we are very much in the morning. So in today's show, which is going to be about an hour and a half, we're going to talk about a number of things. We have a big update on Drives Japan, our new YouTube channel. It's big, it's good.
And it's an update.
We're also going to talk about our main topic today, which is how to price out cars at auction in Japan. Very interesting and a lot of great information. Make sure you got your notepad in case you want to get better in pricing out cars in Japan. Then we've got auction picks.
What have you picked for today?
Go ahead and read.
A hot hatch, a final model RX-7, and some wacky K-car modifications.
Yep.
Stay tuned for all those and more.
And then, of course, questions and answers. And as usual, we pluck questions out of the chat, so anytime throughout the show, feel free to ask a question for us. And the topics of the question could be anything. It could be life in Japan, it could be Japanese car auctions, or it could be general car culture, or it could be about Max's new car.
Wait, what?
No, I just wanted to make sure everyone was paying attention.
They were like, wait, what? We missed that. Yes, you ask, we answer later in the show.
And we also, if you're watching this show after the fact, not live version, then feel free to post questions in the comments, and then every time we will pluck some of those out and then answer them like we will today. Right, Max?
Right. That is correct.
Okay, so why don't we start the first segment of it. Mike, go ahead and call us in.
This week at Pacific Coast Auto in Japan.
With Mike and Derek and Max, the third coolest.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still pretty good, though. Like, it's podium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Champagne's for
Out
the
of
podium.
3, it's pretty good.
Also, I feel a little bit bad because I started it and already claimed the number one space. So it was a bit of a mean thing to do, wasn't it?
It was a dick move, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
That's right.
It's considered a dick move in bird culture.
And bird. Anyway, this week at PCA.
First topic. If you watched last week's episode, I had no voice and it was funny or annoying, depending on your point of view. And so
Vote
this time,
now.
I've got the full voice back. In fact, I've got a better voice than ever before. Good? Mike said last week, what happens if you never get your voice back? Some people go through a second puberty and their voice just stays like that forever. It got me super worried because it was bad for 7 days. It was...
Yeah, it was a while.
Yeah.
I feel like you were quite husky, though. I don't necessarily think it was bad. Like, you could have grown into it, you know?
You ever have that time when you get sick and you feel like your sick voice is sexier than your regular voice?
Yeah.
I don't know if you get that because you already have the sexy voice.
No.
But for those of us who don't, we're like... in middle school, like talking with a deeper voice to try to sound sexier.
Yeah.
You know? That was me.
So you got sick on purpose is what you're trying to tell us.
I didn't get sick on purpose, but I'm going to take the positives with the negatives there.
All right.
And I did have a full day of sleeping, which was great. It's nice. So when you have kids, and your kids are kids, you don't get a full day to sleep very much ever.
Yeah.
So when you have a chance to do that, you got to take it. Yeah. And so I was very happy to hear that. And then on Saturday, we went on a road trip, 2.5 hours to Gunma.
You and your family.
Me and my family in our Type R minivan.
Oh yeah. Oh, we need a picture of that. You have a picture of it, don't you?
I'm gonna clean up the van, and next time I clean it up, I'm gonna bring it next to your car. And for some reason, take pictures of my van next to your car.
All right. I like that. We should do that.
We'll let that be a hint for what Max's car is, because nobody's guessed it correct yet.
Or my car, even.
I'm sorry. I meant to say Mike. I said Max.
You gets us confused all the time because we're not number one coolest. We're just second and third. It doesn't really matter about us at all. So
I went to Gunma, and instead of going to the initial D roads, as you usually do when you go to Gunma, we went flower shopping, and we bought a couple of rare flowers, and I took a picture of it so we can take a look at that now.
I like when you take pictures like this. It's very funny.
Am.
There's Derek and some yellow roses. A yellow rose is rare?
They had all sorts of different colors. I don't know how rare yellow roses are, but like pink, purple, white, black, like everything. It was pretty crazy.
It was very cool.
Yeah, it was very, very nice because our area, Yokohama, is too expensive to have big rose gardens to sell roses unless they want to retail the roses at twice the price.
Yeah.
So we spent $50 on tolls to get out there and probably about $25 on gasoline to buy roses to get them at a lower price. So we probably saved about $350.
If anything.
Oh, dear. But it was a good trip, right?
Yeah, we had snacks in the car, road trip. It's good. It's fun.
Can I throw something in because of the comments? Zay was asking, do they make music in Japan? And then DW says, Ruby-chan would disagree. And because it's this week at PCA, that song, we just sang it before the show.
We were singing it.
Yeah.
Very well.
Why, are you going to play it for everyone to listen?
No.
Oh.
Copyright.
Derek Chan.
There's a song that Max is thinking about, but you're going to have to imagine what it sounds like.
It's called Ice Cream.
And you can probably sing it, right?
No.
Hey, last episode we sang.
Max Chan.
Hi.
Nanigaski. And the rest is pretty bad if we were to do it. So go watch the real song. I'm sorry if we've disturbed anyone.
I'm sorry. In the office, there are a lot of people who like anime kind of stuff. And that conversation just goes right over my head. I have no idea any of this stuff. Unless it's Studio Ghibli. That's the only anime that I know about.
I will say, though, that that song right now is like the #1 thing in Japan, right? Everybody is. Yeah.
I can get away from it.
Yeah. You go home and you ask, I randomly just forgot your daughter's name, Sarah, just say that. Sarah.
Nanigaski.
Yeah. And she'll probably get a hoot out of it. Yeah.
All right. I'll see if university girls know about that one, or if it's just nerdy white guys that live in Japan.
I think it's everyone. It's got to be.
Okay. If you are very happy, Mike, with your service at Pacific Coast Auto.
Yes.
And you wanted everyone to know about that, how could you do that? Just off of the whim, not like I'm telling you to say anything or...
Right. Well, if I was a customer at Pacific Coast Auto and I was very happy, I think I would want to share that with people. So I would probably, write some kind of summary about my experience. I don't know. What do you call that?
A Google review?
Whoa, that seems a bit...
So Max wrote this into the list for something to bring up. So Max, you're going to have to sell this. Why are we asking our customers to write a Google review?
I actually don't know.
The way that you guys put it, though, was pretty good.
Yeah?
We created a Google Maps entry of
Can we show them on the screen how this works?
Oh, that's why we're doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Share it with your Facebook friends.
So this is where we are. Now we doxed ourselves.
Yay.
Our address is on the website.
Yeah.
So people would probably know. So go here, write a review. Let us know what you think. If you think we're cool, let us know.
I think the people who watch the show think that we're cool, but...
Nobody else does?
Wait a second.
Wait, well that means you guys need to overwhelm the other ones. Go to war. Cool JDM show viewers.
We did notice, and this is a little bit of exporter infighting here, we did notice that there's another car exporter, and we think that we are better than them, but they've got an awful lot more Google reviews, and we felt a little bit sad about that because we sell very close to the same amount of cars as them, but their Google reviews are like 50 times what we have. I suspect that they're just like, you liked us, give a Google review, and we've never really been the salesy type company, and that's I think what a lot of people like about us. But it also means that people will trust a well-reviewed company more, and I think that's a little bit of a shame because I know for a fact that company cheats their customers and they're getting more and more sales. And so if you want to make sure that everyone in the world gets a little bit happier by not getting cheated by another exporter that we happen to compete with, then write a Google review.
Or we could do what most exporters in Japan do and write our own reviews. And
maybe they
us as #1 on
I think it's a bit hard to do that, is it not? I don't know.
No, all they do is they put a web page and they're like, rated 5 stars. The #1 exporter in Japan. And I'm like, there's a lot of #1 exporters in Japan. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't share the link in the chat.
How come?
I don't know, it gives me an error.
No, it's on to us. It's like, are you playing the numbers here? Do you have a live show and then you just ask the people to give reviews? I do wonder if Google is like, they see like 1 review a month or something like that. And then all of a sudden it gets like 50 reviews in a day if they're like, hey guys,
flagged.
So if we get flagged, we'll let you know on the next episode. For now, we're going to move on to the next thing that we got to talk about, and this makes me really happy. The Drives Japan YouTube channel, our new channel that started at the beginning of this year, has been struggling to find its footing a little bit. We're making these videos that I think are excellent, and I think a lot of you that are watching this also think that they're excellent, but
good feedback.
You have to wait for YouTube to kind of pay attention. We've got really good view duration, we got really good click-through ratios, and all of our stats seem to be pretty good, but it hasn't really taken off until we got our first spike now with the most recent video. It was the kind of the car reveal for my 11, and it's the first hour with my new car. And there it is. You can see it on the screen there. I finally got my dream car. Here's what the first hour looks like.
There's a lot more views.
3,500 views, where we normally get about 500 views per video. And it's got some legs. So it's typical for a video. For those of you who aren't video creators, you usually get a spike from your subscribers, and then it tapers off. So the first 3 days, you'll very easily get 95% of the views the video will ever get, and then it gets very few views after that. But then sometimes YouTube is like, we think these guys are onto something, or the algorithm just randomly picks you, or whatever it is, and you end up getting more and more views. So I got a little bit of a graph for this one. Is that right?
Yep.
So we can show that. So this is all of our hours watched from the beginning of the channel until now. And you can see that there is a spike for the last video.
So all those little spikes are, I guess, when videos go live, right?
Right.
So what happened in that trough there? No video? Oh, that was Golden Week, probably.
Yeah. Golden Week.
We can't take a week off?
There was Golden Week here, and then we were just busy here, so we didn't post something during that section.
Okay. Wow, yeah, big spike.
And
can you go back to the YouTube page with the videos? Because it's almost a shame that the views on that video aren't driving views to the cinematic video.
They are a little bit.
Just a little bit?
A very little bit, yes.
Okay. I just think it's nice that if people get to enjoy that too. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, and then our next video that we're hoping to get out on Thursday, but we still don't know because it still requires a voiceover, is the Mike and Grant and Max drive my Lotus in the mountains.
Oh, that was as voted on last week's show. We didn't get many votes, but the votes were loud and clear.
Yeah.
We want Derek's Lotus video. So that's what you'll get.
Yeah.
That wasn't my pick, by the way. I think it was due time for another race video, and then the Lotus video can come later. We haven't put a race video up in a while, and that is going to be the meat and potatoes of the channel. So I was kind of hoping that we would not have like a month and a half between one race video to the next, but
I will say though, the probability of the Lotus video getting good views as well is high, because the style of the video is the same as what got us new subscribers through the Corolla video.
That's right. Yeah. And I guess the Lotus is a bit of a hot car, like it's clickable, right?
Yeah.
Show a picture of a Lotus and then the 14-year-olds would be like, wow, hypercar.
I will say, this is probably a discussion for another time, but being able to see the full car, I think that's probably nice. Like, as opposed to your cinematic video where the shot is cool, but you're blocking the car.
Right. The cinematic one had 2 different pictures.
Yeah.
And then, so YouTube's got this thing, if you're just a viewer and you don't really realize how things go, sometimes you'll see a thumbnail change. That's because YouTube's got this feature where you can upload up to 3 thumbnails, and then whichever one gets the most amount of views, or click-through ratio, will become the thumbnail after a test period. And the test period will change in length of time up to how long? A week or so?
It depends on how many views you get and how different the results are from what. So the Corolla video was done within a day, and it chose the thumbnail for it, which is this one that you just see. Other videos, they take like 10 days. Because it's not as decisive.
So if the percentages are really close to one another, then it will go on for longer. But if it's decisive within the first day, then they'll be like, yes, this one.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked, but that's cool. So the result of so many views on this video is subscribers.
Oh, right? Yeah, you want to talk about subscribers? Our subscriber update. Previously 1,203 subscribers. Now, 1,283.
Plus 80 is a huge jump, right?
That is the most that we have gotten in 1 week, except for the first week that we had on the channel.
When it was announced. And all the true fans were there.
On the video page for the Corolla video, it was 52 people, I think, that subscribed. So just from that video. And then some people probably watched a few other videos, then subscribed, or just subscribed.
Also, this is what I do. When I see a new channel that I want to subscribe to, I'll go to their channel page and see what kind of videos that they're putting up and how often they put up and that sort of thing. And anyone who has done that are going to count as a subscriber from the channel page. And so they might have watched that and then subscribed when they hit the channel page, like I do when I subscribe to channels.
Cool. Thank you, everyone, for watching and supporting. That was fun.
Oh, also, when we got the new channel, I was wondering, like, so we've got the Pacific Coast Auto channel that many people know about, even if they're not subscribers. Like, we've got 100,000 subscribers. Sorry?
That's where they are right now, if they're watching.
Right. This channel, 100,000 subscribers. Plenty of people have watched the videos, even if they're not subscribers. They'll see the video and they'll go, yeah, that's the Pacific Coast Auto, or that's the guy that shoots the Japanese cars on the side of the road.
That's Eric.
Right? we got, and I was always wondering, like, the Drives Japan channel is going to garner its own audience separate from Pacific Coast Auto because it's meant to be more entertainment focused, so has a bigger opportunity to grow because we're not limited by making videos that are, you know, a very narrow niche. You know, this is just a car that we purchased.
Export-centric content as opposed to just Japan and car.
Right. So I was wondering how long it would take for one of our Drives Japan viewers to notice that we're another channel without having been driven from the Pacific Coast Auto channel. Because all of our first subscribers are Pacific Coast Auto subscribers that were like, hey, check this out. And they're like, yes, I will. But we got our first person, sort of. We sort of got our first person who was like, ooh, Drives Japan. Hey, wait a second. I know these guys. And so it is a cool feeling. Yeah. And so here's the comment that they put on.
Sorry, I didn't realize that I ruined it earlier by giving it away. I just, whoops.
So he says, I know that place. Is that Eric from Pacific Auto? And so he got the name of the company slightly wrong, but mostly right. And he got the name wrong as well.
Well, I don't know.
Mostly right.
Mostly right.
Very close to right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I felt pretty happy about that.
So this is Eric, the fourth coolest host of Cool JD.
Let me lower my seat.
Yeah.
A lot of you guys don't realize, but Mike loves seats low and I like seats high. And I lower this seat so that I'm not taller than you, so I look like I'm compensating. But if you want to see the real Derek versus Mike in the Lotus video, where he's driving my car and I'm right next to him, it's very much like Kid Derek.
My son Eric.
Is your seat in the lowest possible position right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so now mine is, and you're just a giant.
Yes, Eric. My son. No, I think it looks better this way. Otherwise, it does feel weird actually when you went down. I was like, why am I?
I usually, that's a bit high. This is my usual way of sitting in chairs. But you like low school style.
I want to be low down. I'm a low rider.
Okay, going down. Okay, so the Lotus video that we're talking about, it's possibly coming on Thursday.
Possibly.
This is one of the videos that I know the least about how it's going along, because Max is mostly putting it together, and there were a few secrets that I was not privy to.
Oh, that's right. I remember now.
So there's some stuff I don't know. Max is going to give me an outline of what I need to talk about for my voiceover, so I'm going to complete the voiceover without really knowing the direction that the video is going into.
I think it's cool that we get to have some fun while making these videos, and then hopefully it's also fun to watch. So we had fun filming it and everything.
I'm dreading that. Like every video I edit, it's like, I hope it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there anything you would like to share, Max?
Anything I would like to share?
About the Lotus video? Because I'm eager to know here.
Mike, Grant, and I had some fun while you drove the car, so you don't know what we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
I do know as much as you said there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that all we're going to share? How about how Mike broke our dealer license plate.
That happened. It was an accident, and I am very sorry.
Mike was freaked out and he felt pretty bad, but it turned out it's not a lot of damage, but it was funny. How do you break a license plate? By taking a car for a drive?
Find out by watching the Lotus video.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I do want to address, there's a few questions in the chat. Just so you know, there's a Q&A at the end of the show. We'll answer questions there.
So keep posting those questions and we will answer them. We do kind of need to do it on like throughout the show though, because I feel a little bit bad that everyone is talking and then
they might not be around for the end of the show either.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Some people go to sleep because it is late.
So if you go ahead and watch chat, and if you find something that's worth mentioning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Some we'll do after, but yes, I like to low ride. My car is not an Impala, but that would be sick.
Impalas are popular here in Japan, the lowrider ones.
Yeah.
I mean, popular is not like you see them all over the place, but there is a subset of Japanese people who love those lowered Impalas.
Yeah. They usually do cruises and they have those light up like or metal stencils in the window. They're very like they go all out on them. They're very expensive.
Yes, a lot of money put into those.
One of my neighbors has a lowrider Impala. I just noticed.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
He has two classic American cars.
Oh, I know that guy because we walk past it every time we go to Center Minami.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. He's got two classic cars.
Yeah.
Wow.
Every time he starts it, it's like the V8 old school.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Cool. I didn't know he's in this area.
Love that. And before we get into our main topic, I just have one more thing to talk about. And this is something we mentioned last time. Grant, our star translator and our star putter together of the show, is not here for 1 month. And so all these shows have to be crammed together a little bit. Usually he picks the cars that we talk about and he gives us enough, like right now we have to cover for him, which means we can't dedicate the time that we need to put the show together. So it is a little bit rushed. And so if you're feeling like the show sucks, I'm just saying that's our excuse.
I don't think the show sucks. Positive comments in the chat, please.
Yeah, make Derek feel better. This morning I was scrambling. I'm like, what topic are we going to talk about? I wrote on my phone this morning at like 6 a.m, like 7 topics, and all of them I threw out because I didn't like them very much.
Yeah, but we do have a big list of things that we do want to discuss in the show, so we can
like
pull
the backup
from that
list.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so shall we get into the main meat and potatoes of the show?
Yeah.
Yep.
You want to do it?
You want to do it? Sexy
How about
Mike?
we do it together?
No.
Okay.
That's like
no, I don't want to do it together. No,
that's like going to a club with like being the ugly friend and going, hey, let's go hit on girls, and you're the ugly one and they're hot, right?
I can relate.
I mean, let's just move on.
Industry topics and news. Oh man, Max has always got his finger on the button ready. Love it.
So in this topic, we're going to be talking about how to price out cars at auction. And this is what we do, right?
Yeah.
So we help you to buy cars at auction, but you live in a different country that has completely different markets than Japan, so you might not know what the prices of the cars are at auction. And you could be sending us emails saying, what's the price expectation of this car? How about this car? How about this car? How about this car? And continue doing that throughout your purchasing pathway, your purchasing journey.
Yeah.
Which is fine because we can do that for you. We can help you with prices, and it is a little bit complicated, and so we are here to help you. But if you want advice on how to do that yourself, this can be beneficial for you because now you don't have to wait for a reply, and you can feel cool about being so smart at Japanese prices. I don't know. For me, that's a thing. I want to feel cool. So I'm going to learn something.
I want to know what I'm getting myself in for. Like, we do this when we purchase our own cars, right?
Sure, yeah.
We have more access to the market information and everything like that, but we do the same thing. And then sometimes you land on a car that you just don't value as much as it costs. Or the opposite. You land on something where you're like, that's shockingly good value.
Or you're like, these cars cost $2,000 in my country, so I will bid $1,500, not knowing that in Japan they're twice the price.
Yeah, that can be a difficult bridge to cross when you're first starting, for sure.
So knowing how to figure out prices is complicated, and it's not something that you're going to be able to have a cheat sheet and a rule of thumb for. There are probably about 20 rules of thumb, and any one that you can remember, you can think of while you're going through the prices, that's going to help you. It'll take time. You'll get more accurate with this as time goes on. There are some cars that are easy, some cars that are difficult, and so we'll work through this with you at the moment. If you are actively purchasing right now, pay extra attention to this, because this will help you get a car that's in the condition that you want without as much headache.
Yeah, I think that's the purpose of this whole section, right? Is to reduce the amount of headache and the time it takes to buy a car by being able to price it effectively. So there's information here for new people and for people who are experienced and buy cars all the time.
And you'd be surprised at how many people have been doing this for a long time that still seem to be making simple mistakes, like the ones we'll be going over.
Yeah, it's difficult. You know, there's a lot that plays on each other and then influences the decision. So we will do our best to clarify.
This is the world's longest intro to the topic. It's all the disclaimers.
Start. Derek, I am brand new to purchasing, and I want to know, what is an easy car to price?
I want to back up a little bit. And
we'll do the intro again.
The final disclaimer here.
Yeah.
So I wrote all this based on how I personally start the process of looking for prices. This was all done by me. I managed all this. I didn't really go over it with Mike to kind of see how he does it or how Grant does it or how anyone else does it. This is my way of doing things that I've found quite effective over the years. And so Mike's going to add a few things here or there, but if anything sounds dumb, it comes from me.
Unless it comes out of my mouth, in which case it's my own fault. Okay.
So first off, you've got in our auction system a bunch of data points for cars. This is past sales history from the last 3 months, and this is your meat and potatoes for how you find out the prices. If you can look at the past sales with a certain condition car, then you can kind of guess what the value of that car is. And so this is our starting point. And I like to group things into basic cars, and then, or we'll call them easy cars, medium cars, and difficult cars to price. Some cars are impossible to price on this end, and some cars are brutally easy to price on this end. Yep. Most of the cars that we sell are a little bit older. Yep. As the car gets older, it obviously gets more difficult to price because you'll have a wider difference in conditions. If a car is 1 year old, almost all the cars are going to be the same price, unless somebody has intentionally kicked in all of the doors.
Yeah.
Right? Once a car is 10 years old, many of the cars are in similar conditions, but you start getting really poor ones or ones that were particularly taken good care of. And then as the car gets older, you get much, much, much wider. A car that's 50 years old, like my Corolla, could be engine is barely running or not running at all with rust holes throughout the body and everything needs to be replaced on one end, or my Corolla on the other end.
Pristine, well kept, still runs.
Still runs.
Yeah.
Still runs fairly good, but it is a carbureted engine, so
yeah,
give it a little back massage, and it'll run better. So we'll start with easy cars. So these typically are cars that are, I already went over it, cars that are rather new, and most of the cars are in similar condition. And so what we'll do is, I've already picked one out. This is a Honda Vezel.
Wait.
You got the mouse?
No.
And I've just gone Honda Vezel from 2022, and we can see up here there are 48 of them that are at auction right now. That's today, tomorrow, the next day, the next 3 days. 48 is a huge amount of them, so they're a very popular car. You have plenty to choose from, so basically choose the color that you like, and then you can go off of the auction. Now, we want to see how much these cost. We'll click up here for Japan auction sold prices. And we're going to do this again by going, this mouse sucks, by the way. It's got the track, it's the magic mouse from Apple. If you've used it, it sucks. Honda.
Although it's a magic mouse, it's not making you feel that magical, is it?
No, it's making me mad.
The Mad Mouse for Max. Wait, what?
Honda Vezel, and we're going to type in 2022. And 2022.
Never heard of a Vezel. So a lot of people watching here will be from the USA. This is an example of something that is very easy to price. These are more like people who are in Africa, the Middle East, maybe Europe, some of the islands, people who are legally allowed to import these cars. we get them every so often. Don't know if anyone from one of those countries is watching, but very easy to price these cars, as Derek will explain. Probably want to sort by sold only.
Okay, so what I'd like to do now that I've got all the results, 1,894. Some of the results this is in the last 3 months too.
Yeah.
Some of the results are not shown, so we're going to filter those out. So we'll go to sold, only sold cars. This will filter out any of the USS auctions, and USS doesn't show their prices. So we're all automatically down to 486 of them left. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter these by sold price. So I'll click on here, or sort, not filter. And now the most expensive ones are at the very top. And then the cheapest ones are at the very bottom. And we've got plenty of pages. And so what I like to do is cut off, like just in my mind, cut off the top 20% and cut off the bottom 20%. Bottom 20% of any car is going to be junk. So completely don't think about that. Don't go and direct your attention to the cheapest one and go, I can get a car for that price.
Yeah,
because the car is going to have a broken engine, or it's going to have a broken transmission or something. There's a reason why people are only paying that much.
Yeah.
Same thing goes with the top price. Those ones might have accidentally sold for more than they're worth. Cut those ones off. So you're looking at the middle 60% of the prices. So I'll go now to page 9.
You do 20% top and bottom.
Yeah.
I usually do 10.
Yeah?
Yeah.
To filter out the outliers?
Yeah.
Theoretically, top 10% and bottom 30% is probably a little bit better, but just to simplify it, 20 and 20 will cut out your outliers.
It does depend on the car a lot too. Like I would say the bottom 20 or 30% of these would be trash because they're brand new. So they're either going to be this price or they were just freshly crashed.
Now I'm somewhere in the middle. And we can see the prices here are about 2.3 million to 2.3 million. Okay, now that's my base price. So they're approximately 2.3 million. You want to get one for cheaper, bid less than that.
Yeah.
If you want to get one for more expensive, a better condition one, you're going to be bidding more than that. Simple and easy.
Not even just bidding, but like conditions. You want one cheaper, you're going to get higher mileage. You can see there all of the mileage is roughly the same.
Yeah,
so,
we're looking at 25 to 40,000 kilometers for most of these ones. Yeah. So if that's the mileage that you want, that's the price that you're going to pay. Super easy.
Yep.
Next one is the medium cars, and this is where we start to get a little bit difficult. This is where people start to fall off a little bit. And so a medium car is pretty much anything that's USA legal. Many of the cars that are Canadian legal. So Canadian legal cars have to be 15 years old. By that time, conditions vary much more.
Yep.
And so these are the cars that we can't really find too many data points about in the history. And we're going to be using a Toyota Altezza for this, only because this is the car that Max owns. And he wanted to show off. It was Max's idea, wasn't it?
It was Mike's idea.
It was my idea.
Mike wanted to show off Max's car.
So the medium car, we're going to do an Altezza because Max has one and he can talk a lot about it and give some like not nuanced but more like enthusiast point of view for what influences the price. And then for the difficult cars price, we'll use Derek's Corolla because again, he knows them. He just bought one not too long ago. He can speak more in depth about it, which is often required for difficult cars. You need to have that expert level knowledge.
Is that so? I can't see it on the
screen.
Yeah. Okay. So you put in 1999 to the year 2000, and so with the Vezel we were doing just 1 year because there were so many of them.
Yeah.
Altezzas were widening in that to whichever ones are legal, for example. I mean, this one isn't legal for the USA. This is 1999, which is legal, 2000, which is legal, and 2 years afterwards that's not legal for the USA.
Yes.
So if you are in Japan or you're in the UK or you're in Canada, this is how you would be doing the search. The way we're going to go about this is to take the easy way of doing things, checking the history, but then we're going to add modifiers onto it.
Yeah.
And this, I think, is the key. And so you got to be a little smart about which modifiers that you're going to be putting onto it. And we'll go over those in a second. But first and foremost, you can see that there are 103 to go through. So there are plenty of options to check the prices. So right now we're going to understand these prices in the same way that we did last time. Did you already sort?
Yes.
Okay, so we've sorted here. I can see the most expensive one was 1.2 million. And that one had 64,000 kilometers. Probably very good condition car. On the low end,
That is super cheap.
Well, $700, $500 for that one.
Yeah.
And so we've bumped into our first modifier here. There are two versions of this. There's the AS200 and the RS200, and there's a wildly different price difference between them. So we're going to want to filter out only the ones that we're interested in, the RS200s.
I don't know if you can do that easily with the auction tool, which is another difficulty. So
you would need to know the chassis number for the RS and AS.
Oh, that's true. They are different. So you could do SXE10.
Right. You can do chassis number and for the
model type, not chassis number.
Where's model type?
Yeah.
SXE10 is the one with the beams motor, and GXE10 is the one with the bad engine.
The one the cheap one.
Okay, I'm gonna go into the middle here, and you can see a whole bunch of 6 speeds here, some automatics. We'd like to filter those ones out as well if we can. Are we able to?
Yep. Should work.
It's just sometimes the tool gets a little overwhelmed when you start putting in criteria.
Yeah.
Like that. It's annoying. Okay, so now we're only 6-speed manuals, and we'll go to the middle. So let's just say here's the middle, 547 up to about 900,000. This is our base middle price. And so this is, I guess, where you can start looking. Now, I know personally that the lower end of this is not going to be good cars. These below 600,000 is not going to be good. This is a car that's commonly modified, commonly driven a little bit hard, and the vast majority of them are going to be in weaker conditions.
Yeah.
And so this is where we start talking about the hockey stick graph. Can we have a look at that? And so this is a graph of car prices, and you can see on the graph plenty of them. Let me just show you with the mouse down here. Sell for a lower price, and then all of a sudden it boosts up really quickly. And the reason why we call it hockey stick is because it looks a little bit like hockey stick. Once you get to the good condition ones, they start to go up. So if you're looking for a good condition car, you might be paying a lot more than a low condition car. And these criteria tend to be your mileage is the number one thing that makes it boost up in price. Yep. If you have a car, an Altezza with 100,000 kilometers, and you compare it to one with 50,000 kilometers, you would think half the mileage, maybe half the price, or double the price between the two. But it's completely not like that. A 50,000 kilometer one might sell for 4 times the price of one with 100,000 kilometers.
Yep.
And this has to do with how rare the car is with that mileage. A Lotus, like my Lotus, 30,000 kilometers, you can buy them anywhere because nobody drives those cars. But Altezzas were bought by people who drive cars all the time, and it's very rare to see a sports car with a manual transmission that is so fun to drive that nobody would drive.
Right. Yeah, I bought the car that's amazing to drive and then never drove it. That's the car that is extremely expensive, and that's one that's right at the top of the curve there. Like an Altezza with 12,000 original miles and 12,000 original kilometers.
What I like to say is like an old 8.6, like an AE86 that has 30,000 kilometers on it will sell for more than a Ferrari 358 that has 30,000 kilometers on it, simply because you don't have any Corollas with that mileage.
Yeah.
It's weird to think you pay more for the car with the same mileage as a Ferrari, and you'll pay more for it. Yeah. Really crazy. We'll go back now to that last screen. Okay, so I've got a few notes here and I want to make sure that I hit them all. So the next determiner here is going to be, is it modified or not? If you're looking at sports cars, most of them in Japan are going to have been modified. And how is that going to affect the price? So first I like to think, is this car ever available unmodified? I'm thinking S13s are a perfect example of that. S13 Silvia. 98%, 99% of them are going to have been modified. So if you find one that's unmodified original condition, that's a huge price spike for that. If you find them in a lightly modified condition, could be quite a price spike as well. If it's exhaust, air filter, wheels, something suspension, something that's easy to do. If you see one completely modified, different turbo, different ECU, wide fenders, crazy paint job, these things tend to lower the price on that car because they are common, and cars that are modified like that aren't always in the best condition.
Would you say a more modern car, like a modern 8.6, for example, goes up in price when it has cool modifications on it? Or is that only a case for the cars?
That's a good point. You got to think of how much value you're adding to the car when you think about modifications. A good example for this is lifted cars on big tires, or 20-inch wheels on a Toyota Crown, for example. If someone looks at the car and they're like, that's bitchin', you'll usually pay more for the modifications as a result. But it comes down to how many of them are modified. Are you reducing the classic status of the car by modifying it?
There is a lot that goes into this, because sometimes modifications do increase the value of a car, like even for an Altezza. If, like Max, I'd like you to speak on this a little bit, about like rare bumpers from aftermarket manufacturers that are no longer available or very difficult to find.
Or the Tier D stuff. If you have the original Tier D magnesium wheels on it, the price goes up.
Yeah.
Like all the way.
So all these little things that, while a very low mileage original condition car is usually at the top of the market, you might get a Toyota Supra, for example, that has a full top secret kit and it's been repainted by them and all the stuff is done, and then suddenly that's also at the top of the market because that's what people want. So
so you have to be smart about your modifiers. Check the history of the car, and then how like maybe you're looking at one already at the auction. You're trying to determine what the modifications or what the unique condition of this car is compared to the other market. Is it going to raise the price? Is it going to lower the price? Things like air suspension. Someone might think it's a great thing. Oh, $8,000 air suspension on my car? That's great. But that will usually lower the price of the car. We just bought an Audi A5 recently with air suspension on it and paid nearly pennies for it. It turned out to be a bad car.
And the air suspension is broken, or maybe.
But in that case, dealer, like these cars are all being bought by dealers. The vast majority of buyers are dealers, and they're thinking, how am I going to sell this car? And most people don't want air suspension on the car, so that is going to limit their buyer base, meaning it's harder to sell the car, meaning you're not going to get your money quickly. So another way to look at the modifier. For the most part, these medium cars, you can kind of understand if you take these things into consideration. And there are many different things, from the mileage to the modification status to how good the body is, how bad the body is, whether it's got original parts or not, whether it's got rare parts on it.
Especially the older ones, the rare parts.
But I would still say that they're not that difficult to price out.
Yeah. And there's enough of them that you can find where you sit.
And you're not going to be right 100% of the time. We've been doing this as a group. Like, I've been doing it for 15 years. You've been doing it for a very long time, like 6 years. So is Grant. We still don't get all the cars right, because you have to remember this is an auction, and whoever's bidding on that car at that time might give more weight to one of these modifiers than the other. So that's only natural. The next category of cars are kind of impossible to price, and we get this kind of question more than anything. We have a lot of dealers, and they're very good at the easy and medium car prices, but then they're like, what do you think about this car? And it's like a big head scratcher, because there really isn't a way. Most of these cars are cars that you haven't seen at auction ever. Something like my Corolla. Actually, my Corolla's on the easier side of the difficult cars. We have like a
top secret Supra, for example. They come around every so often, but if you contacted us and you were like, I must have a top secret Supra, I would be like, okay, but you might be waiting a year. You might see 2 or 3 in that year, and whether they fit the one that you want is very difficult. That's kind of...
In the case of the top secret Supra, there is almost no way to tell the price. So there are kind of 3 categories for difficult. There's the almost no way. This is something like an RS2 that has an 800 horsepower engine. So first, the RS2 is very rare to begin with. The 800 horsepower engine, how is that going to affect the price? Who built it? You know, you can't tell the price. In these cases, what's the car worth to you? Do you think you can spin that in a way that helps you add value to it when you're selling it? Or if it's your car personally, then do you want the car like that, and how much is it worth it to you? That's the real question. Is it worth it to you? Pick that price. That's the only advice we can really give. When it comes to other hard cars, I like to think of them in 2 different ways that help with pricing. Is this car what I would consider a world price, or is it a Japan price? And so this might be a little bit difficult to figure out, but the rarer the car is, the more likely it is to have a world price, which means the price in Japan isn't that much different from anywhere in the world because this class of car gets moved around from country to country commonly. Yeah. Something like a Porsche 356 would be a great example of that.
Even like the old collectible cars like
an
Ferrari.
RS2 would be a car like that.
Ferrari F40 or something.
Ferrari F40, Renault 5 Turbo 2.
Yeah.
An Alpine A110. Most of these are going to be classic cars. Carrera GT is another one.
Yeah. Usually those are also very expensive cars where the price of transport doesn't really matter as much as finding the right car. And then once you find the right car, it doesn't matter where it is. You want that car and the transport is what it is. So
these cars tend to, what I say world price means you can usually look online at like a classic car registry and find out what they're worth. You can find ones that are for sale. You can get a good idea of what the world price is. And you can assume that the Japanese auction price is going to be somewhere around 15 to 20% less than what would be considered the world price, because that's what dealers for this type of car are looking, and the auctions are wholesale prices.
Yeah.
So take the wholesale price, add on what the dealer gets when they sell these cars, and you have the basic price. You can go a little up or a little down depending on how much you like the car. Pretty easy. A little bit weird because you have to look at world prices.
Yeah. I will say, like, buying those kind of ultra rare difficult cars is very uncommon at auction. That's not generally the way that people would sell those vehicles. So we're gonna focus more on the cars that are at auction and that are difficult to price out as well. Like your Corolla. They're available at auction, but they're hard. So
something like my Corolla, first things first, you're going to have to tell if this is a world-priced car or a Japan-priced car. And this is easy to do. All you do is go onto the dealer sites in Japan, like a GooNet or Car Sensor. There is an English GooNet too. And then go on your country's version of the same thing. And then you see, how much are the prices at the dealers? Theoretically, they should be pretty similar because dealers are looking for similar markups no matter where they are in the world. So in the terms of the Corolla, I think that the prices in Japan might be a little bit lower than they are in other countries in the world. I don't know because I haven't checked this out. The car wasn't sold anywhere except for Japan, so this one's kind of a bad example. But if it was like a 930 Turbo, this is a great example of how to do this. How much is a 930 Turbo in your country? How much is it in Japan? If it's more in Japan, cross that one off of your list of things to buy from Japan. Yeah. There are a lot of cars that are worth more here because the market here values them at a higher price.
Yeah, it's something that we get fairly commonly where a customer will bid on a car and then lose by a decent margin and then say, I don't understand the price on this. I can get them here for $5,000-$10,000 cheaper or whatever. And providing you're comparing apples with apples, that does happen. Like the AE86 is generally cheaper in the USA than it is here.
And the 240Z is another great example. At one point, they were twice the price in Japan, and people were bringing them in here to sell them.
Yeah. So it happens. And then in that case, like, you can't really question it unless you want a JDM model for whatever reason and you're willing to pay more. It's just Japan values them more, so they sell for more and they stay here.
Yeah.
Same thing might happen with Skylines.
It's funny because most cars are less expensive in Japan. So people just assume everything's less expensive here.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not always the way that it goes.
A little trap.
Okay, so then you've passed that criteria and you still are interested in buying the car because it is cheaper in Japan, for example.
Yep.
And so you go to the next stage. You can't look at the history on the auction page because there just aren't any. One sell a year, one every 2 years, something like that.
Yep.
Or maybe only in this condition, only one sells. So it's very difficult to tell the price. What you're going to want to do is check the dealers. The dealerships in Japan have usually about 700,000 to 1 million listings at any time. The auctions have about 127,000 at any time. So the dealers have more of them, and unique special cars will stay on the dealer lot for longer. It's expected that they will take several months in order to sell. And so you can usually find 3, 4, 5 examples of the car that you're interested in at dealers here in Japan, and then kind of calculate what the markup that they're getting is. Difficult cars like this, they tend to be classic cars. Classic cars in Japan tend to get about 20 or 30% markup because it takes them longer to sell these cars. And so take these prices and take 20 or 30% off of the tax adjusted price. So theoretically, you're taking 30 to 40% off of the price that they're trying to sell the cars for.
Yep.
And so a car like mine, For my Corolla, I paid 2 million yen for it in the condition it's in. The dealer market sells that one at 3.5 to 4 million yen, depending on the condition of it, if it's similar to mine. In that case, it's a pretty large markup. And of course, each car is going to be a little bit different. You can ask us what our opinion is on that, but that's the base way. Go to the dealer sites in Japan, knock off 30%, 40%-ish, and then you've got what your auction price is likely going to be. I do this all the time for customers. Hey, how much does this sell for? Oh, I found these 5 at dealers.
Yeah.
This is probably what they paid at auction for them. So now you can take a look at pictures of the cars and kind of guess what condition you can get for what price.
Yeah. And then I think some knowledge or some strategies to keep in your back pocket if you are looking for something that's very rare, that is on the difficult end of the difficult scale. How much is it worth to you? How deep do you want to reach in your pockets and pay for the car? If it's a car that you've been waiting for 6 months for, and this is the only one, and it ticks all of your boxes, you might want to consider paying more than you were kind of hoping to pay for, because if you miss that one 3 months, 6 months later before another one even comes up, and then how good of condition is that one in?
That's gotten me into so much trouble.
I mean, yeah, but at least you have the car,
true.
right?
Right, yeah.
If that's your goal, is to get the car, like I think the City Turbo 2, right? That's kind of what you're referring to. You saw one come up at auction and it was like, well, if I don't buy this one, when do I get another chance at one? And you're kind of faced with I have to get this one. But like if you don't, it's gone. You don't get it. You might get another one, you might not. Bird in the hand, 2 in the bush kind of thing.
When that happens to you, the regret comes for a very long time. For the rest of your life, potentially.
The regret is immediate and long lasting. But if you buy the car, you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But I did get that really cool thing.
We're just saying this so that we don't disappoint customers. This is not coming from us trying to drive sales. The auctions have so many cool and unique cars. You'll eventually find something that you like. But all of us here, probably all of us here, have had that time where we missed a car. We're like, I should have bid more for it.
Absolutely. There was a 2.2 liter Subaru GRB rebuilt engine with the HKS higher displacement
Stroker kit, right?
Yeah. I missed out. I was second highest bidder, and I bid like 200,000 or 300,000 yen more than I wanted to bid. I was way over my budget, and I still lost. And at the end, I was kind of like, oh well, this has gone too far. I let it go. Then I found the vehicle for sale at a dealership for an extra 700,000 yen or something like that, and I was like, they're not going to be able to sell that car. They'll have to take it back to auction, and I'll be able to pick it up for a steal. It sold. So now it's with someone in Japan. I hope they love it. I'm sad that car got away, but
you boosted prices for everyone.
maybe. Well, I would have paid that. I wanted to win it, but anyway. So little anecdotes. We all have the same thing. Derek's more on the side of he gets the car.
I have emotional scars from this. And I don't want to build any emotional scars, and I'm willing to pay a few $1,000s for not having that scar of regret. Yeah.
Okay, can you talk us through some regrets that you might have had?
We can't. We got to go on to the next section.
Out of time.
I would love to. I'd probably want to think about them first. But just in conclusion to that, check the auction history and then try to determine if this is an easy one based on what's available in the auction history. If it needs some modifiers, it'll be a little bit more difficult. And if it's a very rare car, you can ask us, or you can try to look at what they cost in the retail market and adjust for an auction price for that. There is a lot. You're not going to get it overnight. Take some time to learn these sorts of things. So don't worry too much. And you do have experts like these people. And even if you don't hear from Mike or from me, you hear from like Jacob or Grant or something like that. We often talk about these in the office together, and we come up with like kind of a communal thought on it, which includes all of our opinions. So you're getting the professional full opinion from everybody.
This happens multiple times a day. Someone will yell out, "What do you think of this?" Or "I've got this super rare car," and then usually we're all like, "Oh, give me a look. I want to see," and then we'll try to brainstorm together what we think and bounce ideas off each other. So,
yeah.
The idea is that you become maybe not an expert, but you become very good or proficient at estimating prices of cars. And once you get it down for one model, for example, you start with an Altezza. And like, oh, the rare bumpers and the rare things, you can then apply that to every other car that you're looking at too. Each one will have different things, like perhaps it's the trim package for a high ace that drives the price the most, or an Alphard or something like that, or
the karaoke machine in a high ace.
Yeah. So it's good to become more proficient, and it will help you over the long term become quicker at pricing cars and better at winning them. That's the goal.
Very well said. Good points, Mike. Let's go on to our next segment. The next segment is our auction picks and our dealer picks. So you can take a look at some of the cars that we found at auction and say a few things about them. I want to throw this one out to the chat and let me know what you think. Typically, we make our show to be about an hour and a half with a few different segments. Many of you guys have seen the show and you kind of know how the format goes. We tend to get a little bit chatty in the early part, and then we trim down the auction picks section, so it's a little bit faster than we had originally planned for. So what do you think? Is the current style okay, us blazing through the auction picks a little bit faster, or do you want us to spend a little bit more time on the auction picks?
Yeah.
And riff on them. I'm curious.
Yeah.
Let us know. Max, watch the chat and let us know what people say about that.
Yes.
Put your opinions into it right now, and we'll just go right into it. Our first pick here, and I picked these ones, and today was very busy, so Mike didn't really get a chance to really review them, and so I'm going to be the one talking about these more than you will, but I've left a little bit of time for you to talk about your little D.
My little D coming up next.
Not next, it's going to be the fourth car that we talk about.
My little D, you'll have to wait.
The first car here, this is a car probably most of you watching don't know about, but you absolutely should. You probably know about the SR20 engine. That is the engine, the 2-liter turbo engine that comes in the Silvia and various other vehicles, but it's famous for being the 180SX engine / the Silvia engine. Puts out 200 to 250 horsepower in most guises, and a very cool engine. This car here comes with the SR16 engine, which is an SR20, but de-stroked to 1.6. So the pistons are still the same size as the SR20, 86 millimeters, but the stroke has gone from 86 down to 67. So your stroke is really small. And the reason why that's good is because now your pistons don't move as much in the engine, so you can rev it to 8,300 RPM. And
that's what this revs to?
8,300. This, by the way, is called a Nissan Pulsar VZR. You can get it in hatchback or sedan version. It also has a chassis mate called the Lucino, and another one called something. I wrote it down. Let me just... Sunny. The Sunny.
Okay.
They used these in the racing here in Japan, 1600cc class against Civic Type Rs and... like the Corolla GTS, like Levin and Trudeau, and
they did?
Really well, actually. Yes.
Okay.
This is in the 1600 class. The fastest engine has 175 horsepower, and in N1 format, which they did a production run of 500 cars, 200 horsepower.
Jeez.
So 200 horsepower, 1.6 naturally aspirated.
Wow. That's insane.
Right. 200 is the same as the Integra Type R, which had the 1.8.
Yeah.
So front wheel drive, and they look a little goofy. I think that they look great from the back, but the front end is a little bit long.
I'm okay with it. It looks like they hatchbackified Pulsar, which I guess they did.
And they're very lightweight, 1,100 kilos. And I don't know if they came with an LSD stock. The engine's beautiful. And it's a blue valve top and otherwise looks like a SR20 and has variable lift. I don't know which other Nissan cars. Like people talk about VTEC and then they call it variable valve timing. And then every car has variable valve timing, but you don't realize that most of the variable valve timing is just that. It's a timing change, not a lift change like the VTEC is. And so this one has the VTEC version of the variable valve timing, which is very rare. Toyota did it only in the 2ZZ engine. I believe they didn't have any other variable lift. The Myvec engine has it. This one, the SR20, SR16 VE. You can see it looks awesome. And yeah, 175 horsepower, or if you found an N1 version, 200 horsepower. Very cool, very unique car.
I'm just sad this one has an automatic transmission.
No?
This one's manual. Speed manual.
Oh, the sheet's weird.
Let's quickly go over the sheet here. Octane 3.5, exterior C, interior D, so a little bit run down.
Someone buy it. It reminds me of the Cyborg.
It's better than the Cyborg.
Yeah.
It weighs 100 kilograms less than the Cyborg and has the same power. And these have a very good chassis. I was reading about that. Probably somebody in Wikipedia owned one of these and was like, yes, very. You can usually tell when an enthusiast is writing the Wikipedia page. It's like, it's actually better than the Type R, Civic Type R.
Yeah, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, this one is pretty decent. It's not perfect, of course. They're not going to be, but a car.
One of these seems like it would be quite difficult, though. These must not come up for auction that often.
We've sold a number of them in the past, but these days they're becoming pretty rare. So, yeah.
Do you know how much they go for?
When we were buying them, like 400,000 yen, which at that time was fairly pricey. They were like 20% down from a Civic Type R, and Civic Type Rs are big money.
Yeah.
At the moment, I don't know. If I were to guess, something in this condition would probably be somewhere around 1 million yen, which is still a deal compared to the Civic Type R, but you're losing the prestige of having a Type R. Yeah. And honestly, the Type R is probably a little bit of a better car.
Yeah.
It's a
kind
full
of happens,
car.
right? Like, if you can't afford the Type R, you're going to have to make compromises, so...
And if you own this car, I think you would be very happy about the car on a personal level.
Yeah.
But you would be telling everybody how cool it is instead of everyone already knowing how cool it is, which has a bit of a downside.
Yeah.
Right?
Just like the guy on Wikipedia.
You'll be that guy. And did you know?
Yeah.
And so there is that interesting car. I just found that today at auction, and you can go and pick that up if you want to.
Someone buy it. 8,300 RPM.
Yeah. Red line's at 8,300. Max torque is like 7,600. I haven't driven one, so I can't give my personal impression about it.
Okay, what next? Next, I see something very special. A difficult to price. Oh, even more difficult to price. It's an order? Wait, it's been transmission swapped?
Nope.
I thought the Type A was...
No. Okay, we'll have to go through this. So this is the final version of the RX-7, and this is called the Type RS, I think.
But so they did the Spirit.
Right. I'm sorry.
Spirit R.
I have scrambled eggs for brains. So the Spirit R is the final 1500 version, 1500 unit of the RX-7. It was the last hurrah, sold in 2002. Right. The US stopped getting these in like 96 or 97 or something like that. Oh, okay. But Japan kept them until 2002. And the final 1500, they made the Spirit R versions, and 3 versions of the Spirit R, the Type A, Type B, and Type C.
Right.
So the Type A was a 2-seater manual transmission. The Type B was a 4-seater manual transmission, and the Type C was an automatic transmission version of it.
Okay.
And of all of them, the Type A was the most common one, and had 1,000 of the 1,500 were this type.
Yeah.
And so people who like the RX-7, this is the great one. It's like Mazda's version of the Tommy Mäkinen version of the Evo 6, right? People will pay bigger money for these. And I have a little bit of a wonder. Maybe I can ask Chad about that. This one's been modified.
Yeah.
Has 41,000 kilometers. And some cars you're thinking, the car's so rare, I can't modify it. Like an LFA, for example, on this side of the scale. Some cars are like, of course I'll modify it. There are 120,000 of them that were made. Why would I bother? So where does this car land? It is what would be considered a collector's version, but is the 1,500 units that much of a collector's version that it's going to lower the value drastically by modifying it? What do you think?
My initial thought is, if it's a Spirit R, it should be gray. That is
the silver color?
The silver, the silver gray, whatever that is. That is the quintessential Spirit R look.
And the final color of the RX-7, the very final one that rolled off of the assembly line, was that deep silver color.
Huh. I didn't know that, but that's cool. So The color's wrong. Not wrong. Like I think I prefer white, but it's not a Spirit R. And if you want a Spirit R, maybe you want the silver. But then modifying it, man, that takes balls. It's like whatever company's kit this is, they're not Liberty Walk, right? Which can get away with modifying F40s and well, then I changed my opinion. They are good enough to get away with modifying a Spirit R.
I would like to add, with this kit, you need to cut the body, and I think as soon as you cut the body on a limited car,
but this is like the most famous aftermarket company for the rotaries.
That is true.
Yeah,
the older I get, the more stock I want my cars to be.
Yeah.
And so in this case, I would say if it were an original condition, I'd prefer it more. But it is one of those gray vehicles. I do recognize that. The modifications to this aren't extreme except for the body. So like Max said, the body had to be cut, which I didn't know, but I'm with you. If the body has to get cut, then you can't go back. Yeah. So, well, you can't originally go back. Has an ORC twin plate clutch, Aragosta aftermarket suspension, Aria Memia, full body kit, exhaust, hood, and authentic mileage at 41,000, which is a huge thing for RX-7s. Yeah. They were often driven pretty high mileage, or they're broken.
And it was an R grade, so I'm assuming it got an R grade, and then they were like, well, I'll build it. And
yeah, it could be.
if I have to replace fenders and bumpers and everything, I'll just go aftermarket.
Maybe that's why they modified it. They didn't plan to buy one and then be like, okay, I'm gonna chop it up. It's like, I bought my dream car, then I crashed it, someone crashed into it.
Sometimes I wonder too about cars like this, that nowadays people know about them and think that there's something very special. But when this was a 4-year-old car or a 5-year-old car, maybe people didn't think that way about it yet. And so modifying it wasn't like such the same decision as it would be today.
Right.
For example, like the 8.6 Hakone edition, super limited run. People still modify it.
Right, that's a good example of
the 14R60, even more special.
What's a 14R60?
That's the TRD homologation special super edition of the 8.6. People modify that thing too, and I don't understand why. But
I will say, if you love RE Mamiya and you want the best RX-7, good luck finding a Spirit R that has RE Mamiya mods on it. Like,
and these bumpers, like in the US where they didn't sell them, I don't believe, probably worth $15,000 for a kit, $20,000 possibly.
So then you either buy a Spirit R and then chop it up anyway, or you save the money, hopefully, with people being like, well, I want a Spirit R, but I'm absolutely not getting a modification or modified one. So this is where the difficulty comes in pricing vehicles. It can be tough.
By the way, the Spirit R is unique BBS wheels, Recaro seat, brake calipers were painted red, and it has a different gauge cluster. So it's not really that much different.
Yeah, it's like the name. Well, they had so many different special RX-7s, right? Like,
I believe that those are the seats you got in the Spirit R as well.
Oh, okay.
And you got the best version of the RX-7. The RX-7 was like the Impreza and the Evo in that every couple of years, they got little tweaks to it to make it better. I think it started around 220 horsepower and eventually went up to 280 with chassis reinforcement differences and stuff like that. So the later ones do drive and perform much better than the early ones.
This one's missing the original wheels then, I guess. I don't know what those are. I don't recognize them. But
what did people say about the question, Max?
They would, don't modify a low production vehicle.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to scrambled brains. I wanted to know about extending talking about the cars or talking about other formats.
Not too many replies, but
I think some people did say take a bit longer on the cars. People enjoy seeing the cars that we find, I guess.
People enjoy our banter about the cars. Is banter a UK style word?
No?
Okay. Yeah, Jacob says yes.
But it's also a American word.
Yeah, so they say extended, we like it. We need to...
Okay, we'll take it into consideration because it is a live show and we do value your feedback about that.
Yeah, now that people are saying, they're saying a lot. Yeah.
The start price for this is 3.6 million yen. So that's $25,000. It'll likely go a good amount more. Spirit R's are often over 5 million yen.
Yeah.
And with the low mileage, this could be in the 6s or 7s, even with the body kit.
Oh man, like I look at this and I'm like, okay, low mileage RX-7, you're already off to a fantastic start. R grade. Okay, walk it back a little bit. Okay, well then they modify it with Aria Mamiya. We'll go up a bit. And then that's pretty much how...
Or maybe go down a bit.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Do I like Aria Mamiya?
This one I would put in the top of the medium cars.
Yeah. The most difficult medium, yeah.
And mostly because of the Spirit R.
Yeah.
The Spirit R mixed with being modified is...
Yeah, challenging.
Quite a challenge. Especially with the low mileage. A low mileage Spirit R, if you converted this back to stock, might actually be worth more. Might.
Yeah. And then you got the question, how many white ones did they make? Anyway, we could just keep talking about this. So let's go on to something
I
else.
Can't wait to talk about your little D.
Little D, all right.
But we're not going to talk about that first. We're talking about little G.
Little G.
But this isn't any little G. This is the classic little G. This one's available at a dealer, and these body kits have stormed Japan. The newest version of the Suzuki Jimny looks amazing, and there's this one company that makes them look like little G-Wagons.
Is this the little G?
This is the classic version. They make multiple versions of the little G, and this one here is made to look like the 1980s version of the G-Wagon.
Okay.
And then they have the regular one that you see all the time that looks like the modern version of the G-Wagon.
I really hope there's someone watching right now or later who has never seen these before, because when the first time I saw these, I was just enamored with them. I think they're so awesome. I love that a company does this. I love the Jimny.
And it looks good. Oftentimes these body kits, to make it look classic, I like them, but I feel like they don't quite work. But I totally think that this works. It looked, if you had this parked next to an identical looking classic version of the G-Wagon, it would be so funny.
Yeah.
If you owned both of them, like, I don't want a G-Wagon, but I might consider one if I could have a big one and a little one.
Yeah.
As someone who lived in Stuttgart, like the place of Mercedes-Benz, driving around in this there in front of the Mercedes-Benz museum would be the funniest thing I can imagine.
Do you think people would get insulted about it? Or do you think they would just laugh?
I think you'd get both.
I mean,
you get some
Germans,
purists.
so the laughing comes second, but
I've never heard that before. I like that, Max.
No, this is
in Germany, the laughing comes second.
There's a saying, we go to the basement to laugh.
So the Jimny retails for about 2.5 million, and this one they're selling for 5.5 million. So they feel like they've added 30,000 or 3 million yen or $20,000 US of value to the vehicle. I think that they're dreaming with this, but it is incredibly cool. And they've done a lot of work. They've fully repainted it into what was a classic color for the old style of G-Wagons. And
they've done the interior by the looks of it as well. Yeah,
I don't know if those seats, the tartan seats, I don't know if those come factory or as an option. I don't know these cars too well because they only came out like 5 years ago.
They might just be seat covers.
Looking at them, they're seat covers.
Yeah.
So this is a thing. Little G, it's called.
Yeah. How much was the kit that they sold? I think it was 2.5 million.
We've got a link to it, so we can maybe take a look.
Do you want to look at the
yet.
other one first? Yeah.
We're going to take... Oh, the buttons on the seat covers are actually very smart.
Yeah.
I like that.
So now do I get to reveal my little D?
Flop it out on the table?
I'm been trying so hard to think of different ways to say that. My little D. You'll have to wait.
Okay, I'll open it now.
Okay.
Here's the little D. It's not my little D.
And so we have the same body kit manufacturer, and the little G is basically a little version of the G-Wagon. So this is a little version of the Defender, but they don't know English enough to know what little D actually means to most English speakers. Yeah. And they proudly put it right on the front of the Jimny too. So wherever you go, everyone's going to be like, look, that guy's got a little D.
Yeah. He's enjoying his little D.
And you see these driving around in Japan frequently, and, you know, everyone look at his little D.
Yeah. That's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
But it's so small.
It's like a real D, but little.
So yes, they're made to look like the classic Defender. This is the only one I could find at a dealership here in Japan, and this one doesn't look as much like the Defender as some of the kits that I've seen. I feel like they do the headlights a little bit better in some of the ones, but it does proudly say little D on the front of it, and it's basically the same thing, a Jimny made to look like a Defender. Cool.
Yeah.
So,
see the kits.
I want to go now to the website for this company, and they're a body kit company, and most of their body kits are pretty lame, but I do very much like their K cars.
Okay,
Look at that.
I know Zaid is in the chat, and that I hope that's the first time he's seeing that, because
so the first one on the top left there is made to look like a Renault Turbo 2.
That is so cool.
It's
sorry. This is.
And the one next to it is made to look like a Lancia Delta Integrale Evo 2. They're basically the same kit between the two of them, except for the front headlights. And the rally wheels on there, kind of weird, but cool. If I saw one of those, I'd be like, yes, man, that is how you do a body kit.
Also, it's not too far off from the Pajero Evo. Like, I feel like you could
They should make a version of it that looks like the Pajero Evo. That would be intense.
Like, I feel that red one right there, I can just imagine the fins at the back and everything. You change the body a little, but it's pretty close.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at the next one. Little G Adventura. So I guess it looks like it's got the classic style, but then a few more pieces of kit. It has the headlight covers like the old G-Wagons used to have, as well as the markers on the hood. Okay. This is the one that we just saw, basically.
Little G.
Looks better in person, honestly. The picture that the dealer had made it. Oh, that's cool too.
Little G Advance. Again, it's got the modern bumper with the old school style over fenders. So it looks like you can mix and match between a few different things. Another classic style one without the over fenders. By the way, if you want to continue driving this as a K car, you have to have the narrow body versions like that green one. Yeah. Anything with the wide fenders now becomes a regular vehicle, and you pay more in taxes.
They'll only do it for the Sierras, it looks like, because they're already not K cars. Yeah,
correct. The Sierras are the ones with the 1.3 liter engine that's naturally not a K car.
Yeah,
and so
Further clarification, if anyone doesn't immediately know, for K cars in Japan, they have to have a maximum 660cc engine, and there are dimensions that they have to fit into, so they have to be narrow and not as tall and not as long.
Keep scrolling down. There's a few.
And the Sierra is the big of it.
Oh, that's so
on a
cool.
racetrack.
No way. Okay,
never mind. Also, time. Q&A we still need to do.
Okay.
Scroll down. Okay, there's a Bronco there. See the black one?
A little B.
Yeah, a little B for Bronco. Okay. And these are the G-Wagons. Like, you can see the white one there.
Yeah.
Is the G-Wagon. The more modern looking G-Wagon. And then they got a few other things.
Honestly, that Every that looks like the Alphard, pretty cool. The middle one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Concept B, type 1. Let's just have a quick look. Can you scroll up a bit? Quick look. Stop pointing at the clock, Max. At this white one and see if we can get a price.
Yeah, because they sell these kits, but
I think they're fairly pricey.
Here? I just need to
Jacob just left.
Check that.
He didn't care about you. Okay, well that's not too bad. The full kit, this is a fender panels. Fender panel 300. There should be a full kit price.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a lot of little bits that you can add.
A lot of options.
Holy.
God damn.
Oh, they don't have a full kit price.
No.
Wow, it looks like you can make it pretty expensive though by adding all that kit. Their website's pretty good for a Japanese website. For those who don't know, Japanese websites are perpetually stuck in 2004. Very cool.
Okay.
We have now reached the Q&A, which means it's only going to be about 10 minutes long. Max is always right. He points at the clock like, come on, guys. Stop dicking around here. You guys are going to have such a small Q&A.
Okay, announce the segment.
Okay, Q&A. Was that funny?
That was very anticlimactic.
I was hoping it would be funny.
Okay. While Mike is doing things, I will go into the questions from last week, which were 2. Jason ST was asking, what is going on when a car has sold the previous week and is now up for auction again at the same auction house?
If it's up at auction again at the same auction house, that means the first time it went through auction, the car didn't sell, most likely because the reserve wasn't reached. That's 99% of the time why. All the auctions pretty much have a reserve price, which is a secret price that the bids have to go up past before the car is able to sell. There are some cars with no reserve price, but they're usually not good cars. Some of the sellers have different strategies for selling. Some sellers like to keep the same car repeatedly. This is a good reason why you want to check the past sales of the car, because if you can see a car that's been in auction for several times over the last few weeks, the seller probably wants too high a reserve price for that.
The question was specifically when it was marked as sold.
And is back at the same auction?
Yeah.
Okay, so sometimes a car sells at auction and then the buyer cancels. That happened to us last week. We accidentally bid on a car. We had to cancel that within the next 2 hours. We had to pay a $500 penalty, 88,000 yen for that. Mm-hmm. And then we could, the car would go on to auction again the next week. So there are other reasons for that. Sometimes the seller can't get the documents in time. Sometimes the auction needs to contact the seller for a sheet change and they can't okay it because they can't be reached. There are some various small things, but for the most part, it's because a car was canceled. And I would say the most common reason a car is canceled is because of an accidental purchase by the buyer.
Okay, that makes sense. Next one from last show was Lester7. How does one become a USS Ninja?
Ninja! USS offers a paid service that you can browse their cars because they don't allow third-party companies like ours to have access to showing public pictures of the cars. If you want to browse all USS cars in a convenient way, you have to become a ninja.
And how? You just let us know?
It's a secret traditional art in which I cannot tell you.
Oh, that's very ninja.
Very. You have to throw shurikens at people. The ninja service, you would ask us and we would charge you a monthly fee for the ninja service. It is 1,900 yen per month, which seems like a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things when buying a car, it might be worth it. Your car will be $10,000 and spending an extra $20 to make your purchase process a little bit easier is not that hard of a pill to swallow. If you are a regular buyer, like a dealer, it's a no-brainer. And we, for many of our dealers, I don't know what the cutoff is, but for most of our dealers, we give you Ninja for free. Just because you're buying enough cars, we pay for that. And it is a fee that we pay. I think that if you get more discount the more Ninja licenses that you have, and the original Ninja license is I think $20 per license approximately. And so we don't really mark it up too much. It depends on how many we own at any one time, so there is a little bit of a buffer there so that we're not losing money on this, but that's roughly what it costs.
Okay, then on to the chat questions. I will read the question and I will read 4 replies to it. Jared Young, do you guys also export motorcycles? The answers to that are the dreaded motorcycle question. The next answers were classic, lol, classic, classic. I found that very funny.
Sounds like Reddit here.
Yeah. Just quick answer. I think it's okay.
The answer is no, unless you want to purchase 20 of them. And if you want to buy 20 motorcycles, then we need to have a talk about how this works. Exporting motorcycles is not the same as exporting cars. The process is completely different, and we can run our business efficiently because we do the same processes for 100 cars a month. We can make this efficient. With motorcycles, because it is a different process and we don't regularly do it, there aren't efficiencies there, and so we have to charge for the use of our time for that. It costs twice or 3 times as much as buying a car, which most motorcycle buyers are not interested in paying that much for a single one-off motorcycle. Also, the cost of shipping is very expensive for a single motorcycle, and it only gets to a reasonable price if you've got a bunch of them in a container, hence why we only want to work with you if it's 20 of them. Cool. Good answer?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Let's see if it comes back next week.
Yeah. Classic.
Okay. 07 Sedita was asking, You mentioned in your email that the hole in the plates can be filled in. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, maybe we can show the plate now. We sent out a blast email to 26,000 different people, which 8 people marked as spam, but I wanted everyone to know about the plates. So you can receive now the Japanese plate from the car. Take the one off of the car. They punch a hole in it. The hole's about that big, and then it's kind of annoying having a hole. But the registration office also sells a plastic cap that you can seal that hole up, and it has illustrations from a like sakura, cherry blossoms on it. It looks pretty smart, and that comes together with the plate when you purchase that. And so you get 2 of those caps, and you get the plate, and we send it to you. And the staff at PCA will wash your plate for you. And so that's a little something special. And the price is 11,500 yen for doing that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hot 0527 was asking, all in caps, but I will not scream. How do we ensure that we communicate in time right before an auction occurs when buying?
You want to leave as much time as you can before an auction so that you have time to communicate. We do most of our communication by triage, and so we're going to know which cars are going to come up sooner, and we'll prioritize that. So generally speaking, it's pretty good. There are times when an auction is like you find a car 17 minutes before the auction time, and you have to still go through the process of requesting a translation, getting the translation complete, sending it to you, thinking about how much you want to bid, sending us the bid with enough time for us to catch that before we bid. The sooner we can get it in, the better. If you leave it for the last minute, we'll do everything that we can to get you informed about the car and bid on it. And for the most part, we're not going to be recommending bidding if there enough time hasn't passed for you to properly consider it. We don't want to rush you into a purchase. I think for the most part, if you've experienced this, you kind of know how it works, and you think that we are guiding our customers in a way that is responsible given the situation. So, yeah. The auctions are posted 2 days beforehand. There's generally enough time once you're used to the system in order to get all the information that you need. If you're finding that you're constantly bumping up against auction times, you might want to think about changing the time that you check the auctions to a different time, a little bit earlier in the day. We do have some dealers that like to have their auction search time at a time of the day, like evening after they've done their business, and then this is like 10 o'clock a.m. our time, which will mean that you've already lost some of the cars, or you might not have enough lead time to make decisions. So maybe do it a little bit earlier to guard against that. Did we win?
I agree completely. No, we didn't.
What were we bidding on?
Crown Majesta and Crown Athlete V Wagon. We lost both.
I'm just happy that Dark Horse has a good laugh out of the Mike joins back.
I still don't know what the entrance sound is. I need to go and find what the entrance sound is. I'll go watch it.
John Cena.
I hope so.
Okay, next question. How does the business run without Grant, specifically without his sideburns?
Does he still have the sideburns?
No.
Now he's ponytail.
Yeah.
He's pony boy.
40% reduced efficiency is the answer to lack of sideburns.
I feel like he has less air resistance while he's turning his head now, which means that he can do more like regular computer bidding computer.
Oh, yeah, that account. Yeah.
Yeah. But still, like, the lack of, like, you know, when people gain like charisma or confidence because of
I don't know that so well myself. No.
Can you imagine how this might work? Like, that was the sideburns. Grant misses his sideburns dearly. The next video on the PCA channel will be a love letter to my sideburns.
Yeah.
P.S. I miss you.
They're so good.
Yeah.
I don't have them anymore.
Yeah.
Derek.
Yeah.
Is your cold gone?
Not completely, no. Not completely. So I'm still potentially infecting you guys like a dickhead. Sorry.
Next question. Are any of you guys sim racers? We need a PCA race group.
Max does Gran Turismo 7, and he is almost gold.
Top 3%. Yeah.
Cool.
But I don't take too much credit about that because I'm still on controller. I want to get it set up, but
space.
Grant wants to build a sim, but doesn't have, or has all the bits. Does he have a seat? I can't remember if he has a seat.
I think he does. I think he bought one that came into our office somehow.
Yeah, and then he just needs to make the base and put it all together. But he has a young child, so
maybe I need to create a PCA group in. I don't know if I can create a PCA group in Gran Turismo. Would be fun.
Ooh.
I would like to start playing Gran Turismo 7, except I am a broke mother effer right now because we're saving up for the house. I mean, I am a company owner. I will have you know that. But we're saving
because
all the money, all the money that we make to put toward the house that we're building.
Not company money, your money. Although it sounded like you're like, I'm putting all the company money towards
That's very correct. We are not allowed to use company money to buy a personal house.
Right.
It's kind of funny. We rent right now, and we rent. My wife has an office in our place, and we're allowed to write off a certain amount of our rent because she has the home office. This is all above board, no problem. As soon as we own, we're no longer allowed to do that anymore. So some tax relief we aren't going to be able to get going forward when we have the new house.
Interesting.
So we're going to raise prices of our purchasing to compensate for that.
Derek is joking.
I want to say too, I know time. I'm going on a tangent here.
Okay.
It's very easy to cheat taxes in Japan, and I get so mad at people who are constantly cheating taxes because, like, an example of this, I saw on Reddit, people are like, hey, how can I avoid taxes in business in Japan? All of my friends just write off every time they go out for lunch. You can't do that, but it's very, very common here because people don't really get caught. And I don't think that that's very fair.
I was going to say, as soon as you get audited, good luck explaining.
I feel like when you get audited, they just say pay back the difference.
Maybe.
Unless it's completely brazen.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
I almost bought a Seto Corsa, but I also don't have a setup.
When I was in Germany, I had my setup. I played it so often. I learned the C1 through a Seto Corsa, and then you come here and then you drive it in the real life. It's pretty special.
Yeah.
I feel like a Seto Corsa is probably a 2 sim for me. I think Gran Turismo is maybe the sweet spot.
You can do lots of mods in a Seto Corsa.
I know, but that's what I don't like. I want to, out of the box, be able to use the game. As soon as there's mods, you know how mods work. It's you put a mod on and it works, but then the next day it stops working. Or there's an update to the game and the mod stops working. So then all this time spent searching for mods and trying to understand which version of the mod works. I don't want a game like that.
Okay. Quick,
Geolocate a PCA edition.
Yeah, people were like, I found my car that I bought on Google Maps.
Okay.
I tried that with my car. I didn't.
We've done it a lot. I mentioned this in a previous show. We found like 100 different cars through like a internet forum that I used to be part of, and people would be like, hey, I looked at my address of my car on Google Maps and I could find my car parked in the parking lot, because they updated every year, every 2 years or something for a neighborhood, and as soon as you get your car, you can check the address and see if you can find your car. And of course, there are a lot of cars that you aren't going to be able to see because maybe they're not home, or maybe they've got an inner garage, or maybe like also in Japan, a lot of people park in a communal parking spot that's not by their apartment or by their house. So in that case, you wouldn't be able to find it either.
Yeah.
Can I still find the address of the owner before me now that it's registered in my name?
I don't think so.
But you'd have to go to the registration office and get the history. You got to pay for it. But it's not too much. It's like 300 yen a page or something. But the time to go to the registration office is Yeah.
Okay.
Our questions was a little bit short today, so let's go a bit extra if we have any good questions.
What's the deal with one-price auctions? I don't see them when I search auctions, but they show up in sold auctions.
Oh, this is a very good question. You want to take this one?
Yeah. They're not really auctions, the one price ones. They're like effectively a dealership listing. There's caveats to everything. Like, you say something and you're like, but in this case,
that's how a smart person speaks, though. Anyone who simplifies something is probably not being honest to you.
Yeah. There's a few different scenarios. I'll try to cover all of them. One of them is a vehicle will run through auction as normal. These are usually JU auctions. that auction only runs one time per week. Say it's a Wednesday. If it doesn't sell on the Wednesday at the JU auction, sometimes they'll have a service. I assume you have to pay extra for this. We don't sell many cars, so I don't know. But they will release it as a stock price listing. And that means if you didn't win it on Wednesday, here's the price if you want to buy it through the rest of the week. It's just a way to get more possible sales, I guess. You're going to pay a higher amount. You're paying exactly what the seller wants. Usually the stock price listing is higher than you could probably win it at auction, but not by that much.
I would say probably about 5% more, sometimes 10% more.
Yeah. It just like, if it's at auction, the seller might just be like, I've got some interest this week. It's been unsold at 3 weeks. Nobody's buying it throughout the week. Okay, let him have it. Can happen.
So that's one version of it. What's another version?
Another one is just the dedicated stock listings, and that's a dealership listing. The person is selling the vehicle and it is for sale. They've selected their price. They're a dealer. The main reason why you don't see those ones on our auction tool is because they're not real auctions. There's no third-party inspection that we know of or that we trust. It's the dealer writing their own version of an auction sheet. The vehicle never goes to auction. It's never seen by anyone other than the dealer. They just write their condition report, and then they're like, hey, here's the report. And it looks like an auction sheet. It is not an auction sheet. And
right. I will say that we don't really know because we don't do these ones ourselves. So my impression is that these are done by a third party, but I don't know if the third party can be trusted. Right. So like you'll be a dealership. You still have the car on your lot. You can still sell this car to the general population. And then there's no real reason to sell it urgently like an auction sale. And so you'll just list the same price on these one price cars as you're selling it at your dealership. And you can go through 9 or 10 of these, and all of them are going to be the same price as one price as they have on their dealer lot. And so what a lot of people are buying cars from at auction for is for that reduced wholesale price, which is 15 or 20% less than retail price. So if you want to pay retail price, you can find tons of cars at dealerships here in Japan for that price. And the reason why we pulled those specifically out of our auction tool is because it confused people, because the auction tool, which is not made by us, they don't differentiate which ones are one price from which ones are auctions. And so people would say, can I get a translation of this one? And then we would go, okay, for the 50th time today, this isn't an auction. This is a dealer car. This is how much they want. You probably only want this if you're willing to pay 20% more, and type out all of these caveats to them. And you would do that constantly throughout the day. And so after literally nobody wanted to buy a car at the dealer, considering all of those things, it was just a waste of time for us to have them in the system. There are times you want to buy a car from a dealer, but you can see from our statistics, less than 1% of the cars that we sell are dealer cars. The 99% are auction cars. So we want to only show you auction cars, not the one price. Yeah. If you are interested in one price, we can show you how to find those cars too.
Yeah. But you're better off just going on a dealer. And then you have all of the dealer caveats as well. You don't get a third-party inspection. You have to trust the dealer, what they do or don't tell you about the vehicle, all those things. So that's why we don't show them.
If a car was listed for one price, Greg is asking this.
Yeah, it seems like we maybe got like the wrong idea of what he was asking. Is that right? Or
no, it's just a follow-up question. If a car was listed at one price for 1 million, but then goes back into normal auctions, can you get it for less?
Yes.
So probably yes, right?
Well, so it all depends on the seller's reserve.
Right. So they might have the reserve as the same as the one price, but in my experience, it's usually about 50,000 or 100,000 yen less than what the one price is. And you can use this to your advantage for pricing cars. If the car is at auction and then one price, and then auction and then one price, and then auction and then one price, in the history, this is exactly what Mike was talking about, in how the auction was failed, and then they listed it for the next week as a one price, and then there was the next auction and that was listed for another week. And you can see what they wanted at for that one price, and then you can think the reserve is probably 5 or 10% less than that. So it can give you a great idea of what the seller wants for the car.
Yeah. The one thing I did just think of is USS auctions also offer one price. That's different to what we're talking about here. That's just if the vehicle didn't sell at auction, USS has either the negotiations or like a buy it now price that is available only on that day of auction. It's not available any other day. It's just The vehicle's failed to meet reserve at auction. You can purchase it today by the end of the auction time if you want. This is the price, or you negotiate for it. Hopefully that covers.
Yeah. Anything else? Any burning questions? Or are we going to shut it down?
Do you want to start fights with other Japanese companies?
Derek does. I don't. Man, that was quick.
To give an honest naming and shaming companies, which is what a lot of our viewers would want, but that's going to put a target on our backs, and they could mess us up. Like, there are ways that they can mess us up, and we have had targets on our back before. We had people contact the auctions and then lie about us, or people lying in public on forums about things that we didn't do just because they have a vendetta against us. Yeah. We're trying to be entertaining in this show, and we're trying to be informative and give you guys what you want. But if this means that the business that supports this is going to suffer as a result, it's not worth it.
Yeah. My first answer was a joke, but I think the advice that we give to anybody that comes to us who wants to purchase a car and exporting, and we know people are cross-shopping, we encourage it, is just pick an exporter you trust. If that's not us, if that's somebody else, you trust them more than us, then okay, that's fine. We encourage you to cross-shop. We will share information without defamationing. We will share any information we can without defamationing other exporters, because they provide a service that people enjoy.
By the way, this was a question from me as a starting question into a question in the chat.
Next episode, defamation with Pacific Coast Auto.
Someone said, Greg says, Derek might know what I'm talking about. What's he talking about?
The one price car that is now back at USS Osaka.
Oh yeah, so if it's a USS one, it's completely different to what we were saying, and every seller of a vehicle, I think the camera's about to die, yeah?
Yep. That's why I wanted to wrap it up.
Right. So Greg, real quickly, because it's easier to do this rather than an email, you're fighting against the seller's reserve. Their one price is what they want for the vehicle. You can either pay what the seller wants, or you can keep trying to wait for them to lower it. You're bidding against the seller at this point. Nobody else is buying the vehicle, so the seller wants to remain high reserve. They have to keep paying relisting fees. They might drop that down eventually, but yeah, it's Derek. Derek, you're so big and cool. I hope that helps. That was a quick explanation, because
our show went on a little extra today, so we're giving you a little bit more than you bargained for. So hope you enjoyed it. We're going to wrap up the show now. So hope everyone enjoyed the show. Hope everyone here enjoyed the show. And if you feel like the coolest person in the show has changed, and it's not me, it's Mike, or it's Max, or maybe even Grant or Jacob.
Yeah, Grant's the coolest person who's not here right now.
Or Ayako, or Naoko. We have some people who don't want to be on camera and have told us that explicitly.
Yeah, fair enough.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to have a little anime avatar of me.
I was thinking a lot about that, but as soon as you have an anime avatar, you have now become immediately associated with a certain style of content. And so a newcomer to the show will see that and make an assumption without even seeing your show. And so you are narrowing your viewer base as a result. Now, you could be becoming more popular because of it, but you are also turning some people off.
Good point, by the way, from Zaid. Maybe we need to talk about this as the end of the show. Google reviews.
Oh, right. We told everyone at the top of the show that go to Google Maps and leave us a review on there, and we're going to become giddy.
I don't like doing that. I don't like asking people to do it.
We got 5 reviews.
So 5 reviews.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for doing that.
I completely.
I hope you didn't feel pressured.
I agree very much with you. I don't like doing it, and that's why we don't do it.
Yeah.
But as we mentioned at the top of the show, when someone looks at another exporter, one that we know, we have proof that they've scammed customers and they've got 300 reviews and they do roughly the same amount of purchases. That's why they're getting sales. And even though we have to stick our tail between our legs a little bit to ask for the reviews, this is a benefit for anyone looking to import cars, because now it's going to convince people to go with the company that isn't going to scam you.
I know this is maybe going on a little bit long. Very quickly, we appreciate everyone. We see comments on Reddit or Facebook groups or wherever. If people ask about Pacific Coast Auto, there's usually a number of people who will say, yes, I've bought a car from them. I'm very happy. They're good people. We appreciate people who do that. It's the equivalent of leaving a review.
And that's the only advertising that we've ever done. We might do advertising in the future, but like to be 15 years in business with that, word of mouth being the only, and our YouTube channel being our only advertising is something that I really like.
Yeah, even if you just mention it to people who are like, you've got a sweet car, how did you get it? And you're like, oh yeah, we appreciate all of that. We don't really have a good way of saying thank you, but...
Yeah, we do.
Well, I mean, like this platform, right? We don't like email people individually because sometimes we don't even know who you are. We just, a customer will just come to us and we don't know how they, they spoke to Jimmy at the local car meet, Cars and Coffee, and they recommended us. So,
right.
Thank you.
Okay, we will wrap it up and we'll be back again next week with some new things for your ears.
Yeah. Thank you for staying up. I hope your dishes are clean. Your laundry is done. Somebody mentioned that they felt a little off that I didn't say that. Oh, and
now they're expecting it.
To the person that was showing their young son or daughter the show, I hope they grow into be a JDM car enthusiast. I'm happy that you're sharing it with your kids. I think you're getting ready in the morning before work or something. So have a good day at work.
Yeah.
To anyone who's going to work soon.
Okay, and we are out now. Thank you, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.